Hello, good evening. In this series of videos of a monthly compilation of current affairs, this is the most productive session with regard to this. This is related to the governance issues and some social issues, all sorts of things covered here. And after the completion of the polity, I will update total playlist of this monthly compilation. After that, I will make a video about the May month also after this completion within 3 or 4 days. This is the update with regard to this. And coming to the next, our today's video based on the governance and social issues. It is one of the most interesting topics when we see. Let's see. Coming to the first article, that is the Model Tenancy Act, the rules for the renting of the houses. With this regard, recently Union Cabinet approved Model Tenancy Act to be sent to the states and union territories to enact the legislation or amend the laws on the rental property. Because it is belong to the state subject, it is the final decider is the state here to make laws on this particular issue. Coming to the Model Tenancy Act key features, this act requires the landlord and tenant to sign a written agreement which specifies the rent of which specifies how much will be the rent, the period of tenancy and other related terms regarding this rent. And a security deposit for this purpose is capped a 2 month rent for the residential premises. For non-residential premises, it will be fixed at 6 months. Don't confuse with it some other things. That is, when we see here security deposit here, when we see for both the issue, security deposit capped for 2 months rent in case of residential property. That means when you are giving the rent belonging to your residential property, it is for 2 months. If you are has to be minimum 1 month rent in case of non-residential property. When you are giving rent some non-residential property, then security deposit is 1 month. Here, the thing is different. Security deposit 2 months for the residential premises. Here, non-residential premises. 6 months. What is the difference means here you are giving the someone's residential property. Here belongs to you. That is the thing. And conditions for the eviction of the Tenancy Act. What are the conditions for the eviction of the Tenancy Act mentioned in this Model Act is include refusal to pay agreed upon rent, failure to pay rent more than 2 months, and occupation of a part of the premises or whole premises without written consent, and misuse of the premises despite a written notice. When we see, um, we will discuss it later. First, complete it. The Model Act establishes a three-tier quasi-judicial dispute adjudication mechanism to solve the issues of all these questions arising from this Tenancy Act. A three-tier quasi-judicial body will be set up. That is, the first one is the rent authority, second one is rent court, and third one is the rent tribunal at the highest level. No civil court will have the jurisdiction over matters pertaining to the provisions under the Model Tenancy Act. When we observe in the first thing, the landlord and the tenant have to made a written agreement. In this written agreement, they have to made some conditions with regard to the so and so rent and period of tenancy to be stayed and other related terms and conditions. All these things will be in a written format. And the second one is security deposit. For you are going to spend for a rent for a particular time, The security deposit will be capped for 2 months for the residential premises, 6 months for the non-residential premises. This is the thing. When coming to the conditions for the eviction of the tenant under the Model Act, when it is to avoid the illegal eviction of a tenant. Uh, these conditions include refusal to pay agreed upon rent. The thing, the amount which you fixed as rent, uh, that thing he is not paying, then you have the right to evict him. And failure to pay the rent more than 2 months, he is refused to pay, then you have the authority to evict him. And occupation of the certain part of your premises by him without a written consent or whole of the premises. He occupied illegally some of your premises, then you have the right. And misuse of your premises without a written notice for the some unwanted things. And Model Act establishes a three-tier quasi-judicial dispute adjudication mechanism. Whenever a question arises from this thing, there will be a three-tier quasi-judicial dispute adjudicating mechanism. At the first level, it is the rent authority. When you have again an issue, then you go to the rent court. Again issue, go to the finally to the rent tribunal. This is the mechanism. No civil court will have the jurisdiction over these matters of the tenancy. Um, this is the important things. Other than that, you need not to remember any things. These are somewhat all the things. This no enough. Coming to the challenges, mm, what the act has major challenges means it is not binding on the states as land and urban development. These two are the subjects of the state. The timeline for resolution of the some disputes arising from this Model Tenancy Act timeline is not mentioned here, not specified by the adjudicating bodies. Registration of the rent agreements requires Aadhaar number to be must and shouldly submitted. That means violating the your right to privacy, which violate the Supreme Court's judgment of Puttaswamy case. That is the right to privacy. This is the things involved here. And coming to the next issue, that is the uh, a major important issues in today's world, which exacerbated after the COVID-19. Um, that is the mental health issue. According to the WHO, mental health is defined as a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities and can cope with normal stresses of life and can work productively and fruitfully and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. WHO ప్రకారం మెంటల్ హెల్త్ అంటే ఏంటంటే ఒక స్టేట్ ఆఫ్ వెల్ బీయింగ్లో ఒక పర్సన్ తన యొక్క అబిలిటీస్ని తాను రియలైజ్ అయ్యి లైఫ్లో నార్మల్గా ఎదురయ్యేటువంటి స్ట్రెస్ని ఎదుర్కొంటూ ప్రొడక్టివ్గా ఫ్రూట్ఫుల్గా తన వర్క్ను తాను చేసుకుంటూ తన యొక్క కమ్యూనిటీకి కంట్రిబ్యూట్ చేసే అబిలిటీనే మెంటల్ హెల్త్ అంటారు. దీంట్లో ఎటువంటి సంథింగ్ తేడాలు వచ్చినా దాన్ని ఇట్ ఈస్ ద అఫెక్టింగ్ యువర్ మెంటల్ హెల్త్. కమింగ్ టు ద మెంటల్ ఇల్నెస్, what are the things included in the mental illness means some of the anxiety disorders, psychotic disorders, mood disorders, substance taking disorders, for example tobacco, alcohol, all these things, and personality disorders and eating disorders also comes under the mental illness. Majority of the suicides in the world related to the psychiatric problems only are the illness listed above. Globally, the suicide rate is 10.6% for the 1 lakh population, whereas in India it was 16.3% more than the global average in 2016. The suicidal rate has was more among the males when compared to the females. The situation is generally worse in the southern states compared to the northern states of India due to the nature of development and modernization and urbanization. These suicide activities have been taken place. And according to data from the WHO, due to this severe mental disorders, 10 to 25 years of life expectancy has been reducing due to these mental disorders. As per the Lancet report, one in every seven persons in India, remember this, one in every seven persons in India suffer from some sort of mental disorder. India has only 0.3 psychiatrists for 1 lakh population. For 1 lakh population, we have only 0.3 psychiatrists, and which way below the global average. India's share of mental hospitals, when coming to the mental hospitals in India, per 1 lakh population, it is as low as 0.01, in line with the developing countries. This is the data from the WHO. Government expenditure on the hospitals with regard to the mental health issues, when we take as a percentage of total government expenditure, mental health government expenditure is just 1.3%. When we see in the developed countries, this range of spending with regard to the mental health is 3% to 15%. And what is the way forward in this issue is reduce the treatment gap for the mental disorders. Uh, Number of personnels in the mental health sectors would be increased. That's why more psychiatrists will be available, more facilities will be available, more counseling facilities will be set up, especially in their rural areas, to support the women through the women doctors, and more telemedicine and based helpline numbers and mental health apps. These will help in today's world due to the pandemic and all these things. And various policy options will be available, creating online mental health awareness programs. And communities and families have an important role in this regard in order to encourage their family or their loved ones on these issues, so that community based programs will be developed according to this. School based programs on mental health issues can improve mental health of the children from their adulthood only. More fund allocation for the treatment of the mental health will be spent by the government in this regard. This is the most important way forward things. And coming to the next article, that is the performance grading index. This performance grading index recently released by the Education Ministry for the year of 2019 and 20. It is a tool to provide insights on the status of the school education in different states and UTs in India, including key levelers in their performance and criteria areas of the improvement. Generally, status of the school education in different states. It is a tool. It monitors progress that states and UTs have made in the school education. What all the progress that the states and UTs have made in the education sector, school education. And with regard to the learning outcome, access and equity, infrastructure and different facilities, governance related thing, and different management processes in the school education, all these things it can check. And coming to the methodology of this PJA calculation, namely, it is structured in two categories. These are, one is the outcome, second one is the governance and management. What are the outcomes coming from the school education? And apart from this outcome, what the school education is managing with respect to the governance, all related things. And it comprises 70% in aggregate with a total average of 1000 points. Total weightage for 1000 points, 70 percent of the 70 indicators are there, and the total weightage is 1000. And domains under the categories include access, infrastructure facilities, equity, and governance process. What are the key highlights of this 2019 and 20 report are improved performance with respect to the states of Andaman Nicobar, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Puducherry, and Punjab, and also Tamil Nadu. Increase in their overall score index by 10% with respect to the previous year or with respect to the different states. The topmost performer is the Punjab with 929 points. Then comes the Chandigarh, then Tamil Nadu with 906, Kerala with 901, and Andaman Nicobar Islands with 901. And the least performing states or UTs are, the first one is the least is the Ladakh, then the Meghalaya, then Nagaland, then Arunachal Pradesh, then Chhattisgarh. These are the least performing bottom 5 states. With respect to the grade sheet, 3 states, Punjab, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, attained a score of above 900 out of 1000 in the School Education Ministry's Performance Grading Index. In this score, uh, coming to the Andhra Pradesh, it is 811, and Maharashtra 869, Karnataka 813, Gujarat 884. Bihar also well performing with 747 relatively. And coming to the next article, that is the rights of the LGBTQs. Madras High Court issued a slew of guidelines with respect to the LGBTQIA community's safety, prevention of harassment by authorities, and destigmatization in the society. What are the guidelines given by the High Court for the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment is up to you made a law. That means it is specifying the government up to you make a law to be enacted. Up to that, enlist the some of the NGOs that could provide counseling and monetary support and legal assistance in the same matter. Enlist them, at least them to do some good work. And second thing is the appropriate changes should be made to the existing government short to stay homes and Anganwadi shelters and Garima Grey and all these things by providing accommodation, food and medical care and recreational facilities for this LGBTQ community, different assistances and sensitization programs to be conducted for all stakeholders who involved in these matters. For example, generally public servants who involved here is the police, prison authorities, judges, and the physical and mental health professionals, educational institutions, and health workers, and public and private workplaces. They're all to be sensitized in this matter so that awareness can be given. And use of parent-teacher association in schools to sensitize the parents on issues of the LGBTQ community and gender non-conforming students. With respect to the from pressure from the parents, it is some important issue with regard to the sexual orientation. Also, you will teach the parents by using the parent teacher association about the awareness of these things, and prohibiting the conversion therapy, which is a most illegal and most dangerous thing, uh, which involve different types of mental changes, including some prayers. In extreme cases, it also involves some type of changing rape cases, not case, rape therapy, they call it as. In order to attract opposite sex, they will do this sort of activities. And any attempts to medically cure or change sexual orientation of the LGBTQ community people, heterosexual or gender identity of the transgender people to the cisgender. This conversion therapy should be banned totally. Till now, There are so many countries pending in this banning of this conversion therapy. What are the important judgment in India with respect to the LGBT communities? The first of all, uh, Naj Foundation versus Government of NCT Delhi 2019 upheld that Section 377 will guarantee of equality enshrined in the Article 14 becomes it a unreasonable classification and target the homosexuals as a class. That means first in the Naj Foundation versus Government of Delhi case, it supported the rights of the LGBTQ community and it Supreme Court in the Suresh Kumar Kaushal versus Naj Foundation case in 2013 again reverses the so-called Delhi Naj Foundation versus Government of Delhi High Court judgment and reinstated the Section 376 of 77 of IPC. Again, Supreme Court, by using this judicial review in the Navtej Johar versus ORS case, unanimously struck down the Section 377 of the IPC and it decriminalizes same-sex relations between the consulting adults. Supreme Court embedded the firewall of the doctrine of progressive realization of the rights in this perspective. This all about the LGBTQ communities and the state of India's poor. By identifying the who is the poor exactly, you can uplift the state of India's economy. This is the thing that whole article talking about. According to 2013 estimate, a number of extreme poor in India defined as who consumes less than $1.9 per day, that person is considered to be as poor. And in India, the poor will be, according to this criteria, 250 million. And since 2013, four important data points have given different criteria to classify the poor. The first one is the Rangarajan methodology, according to which 29.5% of poor are there. Next thing is the Sachin Tendulkar methodology, 21.9% poor in India. According to World Bank data of A and B reports, one says 21.2% and one says 12.4% of poor in India. The first being fall in the monthly per capita consumption expenditure. Major issues involved here is during the 2017 and 18 when we see the fall in the monthly per capita consumption expenditure has been that much reduced after 1970 to 73, we have seen that much thing. And second is the fall of the India in the global hunger index to the serious hunger category. This is again a major contentious issue. And the third is the health census data recently concluded National Family Health Survey Report 5, which had worrying markers of increased malnutrition and infant mortality increase and maternal health under threat. These are the things that really worry about the India's situation of the poor. And fourth one is the Bangladesh, our neighbor country, better in its performance when compared to the India with respect to the income statistics and need for the poverty estimation, knowing the numbers and making the public to make it possible to get the public opinion and support for the urgent cash transfers and all these things. World outside India generally makes to propose high fiscal support as a economic rationale in order to save the uh, poverty, not the charity, not depend on the charity, it based on the fiscal support. In India, dramatic reorientation would get support once numbers are honestly laid out. And this recording of the data of the poor evaluate all policies on the basis of the needs of the majority. Data would also help in creating a climate that demands accountability from the public representatives. It also highlights rising inequality As per Oxfam report 2020, India's richest 1% population holds 42.5% of the national wealth, whereas bottom 50% of the Indian population, they hold only 2.8%. That means when we uh, taken as an example, just assume 1% of the population, one or two or three people having a total of the India's 42.5% of national wealth. Whereas with respect to the other things, uh, when compare 50% of the population of India, these 50% of the population is only having some sort of just 2% of the national wealth. That means 50%, bottom 50% having uh, 2 rupees of amount, and top 2% people having some $1 million of money. This is the according to the Oxfam report. And coming to the next article, that is the migrant workers. Recently, Supreme Court laid down different guidelines with respect to the migrant workers regarding their food and travel arrangements for the migrant workers, dry ration arrangement, and state governments to furnish all facilities regarding community kitchens for the migrant workers, and state government should arrange the transportation for the workers who want to return their homes. And Supreme Court fixed July 31 as deadline for the states to implement one nation one ration card scheme. And the court reaffirmed that right to food is a fundamental right under the Article 21 of the Constitution. That why every migrant worker should have the right to food, and states have to formulate their own schemes and issue the food grains to the migrants in this matter. And the top court reorganized the need for the direct benefit cash transfer to the workers for the unorganized sector. And Supreme Court also slammed about the government's uh, performance, that is the labor ministries is not completing the work of maintaining a national database for the unorganized workers portal in order to register and identify themselves as a migrant workers and unorganized laborers to ensure their rights and welfare and food security issues. Um, According to 2011 census data, 450 million people as working as internal migrants based on the their place of last residence. That is the 37% of the whole population of India. According to the economic survey of 2017, 139 million seasonal or circular migrants are working in the country. This is the thing. And coming to the brew refusee issue, NGT, National Green Tribunal, sought replies from the Forest Department and the District Administration of the Tripura on a complaint with regard to the brew refugees from the adjoining Mizoram were resettled in a forest area of the Tripura. They want to give some replies. What in this regard we have to remember is who are the brew refugees, where they live, and what are the issues involved here. Brew refugees, also called as Riang tribes, they are indigenous to the Northeast India. They mostly inhabited in the regions of Tripura, Mizoram, and Assam. In Tripura, they are recognized as PVTG, that is the particular vulnerable tribal groups. In Mizoram, they have targeted by groups and they do not consider them as the indigenous to the state. That is, in Mizoram, a threat has been arised. In 1997, ethnic clashes has been taken place between the local people and these Riang tribes. In this issue, 37,000 Brus fled to the adjoining state of the Tripura from the Mizoram, and they are accommodated in the relief camps in the Tripura. In June 2018, community leaders from the Bru camp signed an agreement with the center and the state governments providing a repatriation in the Mizoram. But the most of the camp residents rejected the terms of the agreement. Finally, the center and the governments of Mizoram and Tripura and the leaders of the Bru organization signed a quadripartite agreement in January 2020. Under the pact, the Home Ministry has committed to incur all expenditure for the settlement of them in the Tripura. This is the some historical development with regard to the Bru refugees. That's all for the governance and social issues. Thank you.